Holy shit, we're finally here, and the Dragons has come, and I'm here to give an Untamed build today. It's a little late at night, so I'm gonna kind of keep it down a bit, but I really love this build. I'm really enjoying End of Dragons so far. I honestly think it's probably the best expansion they put out. I played through all of them pretty thoroughly. I think End of Dragons, just from like the content wise, and especially the story so far, and the zones that I visited all the zones, mainly to get to all the pets and stuff, but. Um, I've done Xingje and New Kaining a lot, and both of those zones are absolutely fucking phenomenal. They're very distinct. I've also been to Echovald and to Dragon's End just a little bit to get the Wallow and the Siege Turtle. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about Untamed today. What's my favorite build here? DPS wise, this is pretty comparable to a goddamn. This is actually kind of sad. A no kit mechanist power build that I've been running, which means this is going to be getting around like sustained damage wise about 26,000 damage a second on the DPS golem, which obviously is the most like ideal situation. But yeah, it's not as good as Soul Beast, but it's not bad either. I mean, if you can manage to get around 20k, you're pretty much good to go. Um, so yeah, that's like consistently though. I mean, whenever you're doing a raid boss and whatever, I'm sure there'll be a better build for raids than what I'm running here. Um, but yeah. Also, I just want to mention for like the DPS golem and all that, I just changed a couple of the skills up. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. All Berserker's gear with Ranger runes. You can run Scholar runes if you really want to get super optimal, but I don't know. I like Ranger runes. They're good for all around play. They're good for everything. I don't like having to swap out my runes for shit because I don't have any legendary gear. So, yeah, I just have all Ascended Berserker stuff on here. Besides my backpack, it's all Ascended Berserker. Um, and yeah, so Hammer and Longbow, this actually probably isn't the most optimal way to play Power Untamed, but I have Strength and Force runes on here. For, endgame content, I'd actually recommend doing, um, what is it, Impact runes instead of Strength runes because of the fact that you're getting more damage against, like, knockdown targets and stuff, which could be, kind of useful. But maybe those would be some other runes you could use too, or sigils rather. I keep saying runes all the time with these fucking things, but they're sigils. So yeah, they're pretty solid. You can run really whatever weapon combination you want as long as it's power based. Sword axe is really good. Great sword, longbow. I mean, really, hammer, whatever you want to do. You could do that besides, the Condi based weapons. And so yeah, obviously the build that I ran before in the beta 4 was actually hammer and greatsword. I kind of like having that versatility of having a melee and then a ranged. But obviously, in like 10-man content, you're going to be stacking constantly. Even like fractals are stacking constantly. So having another melee weapon definitely doesn't hurt because they typically do more damage. For the build, we have Marksmanship Beast Mastery, which is an interesting choice, and Untamed. I love Beast Mastery because I just like my pet doing more damage. Yes, it's technically more optimal to run skirmishing in the slot. However, I did try both of them, both of those variants on this build. Skirmishing only put out just a little bit more than what Beast Mastery was putting out. It did put out more, but it wasn't a huge difference. Anything that's really like gonna make me want to run skirmishing over Beast Mastery. You could really swap out marksmanship with Beast Mastery if you want, but I don't know. I like marksmanship better personally. So I'm going Hunter's Gaze, Farsighted, and Predator's Onslaught. Then for Beast Mastery, Potent Ally, two-handed. I don't know why I said ally. Two-handed training, mainly for whenever we disable a foe, we get Fury for a few seconds. You could actually do natural healing if you want to. That could be a good one for your pet. And then we have honed axes. So I actually do this. I don't run any axes on this build, but I actually just like this because of the ferocity for you and your pet. You could also run. God, that shit must suck. I wouldn't run that. I mean, that isn't really that good either. I don't know. Honed axes really seems like the only real choice here in this slot. Blinding Outburst is amazing to me. I don't like the other two options, primarily because, this one's just so versatile and nice. 25% more damage for your Venomous Outburst, as well as 25% more damage for your Unleashed Ambush skill, which is a pretty good burst damage skill that you have, and especially good on the like the great sword and then the axe. Oh my god, it's so cool on those. Enhancing impact, this one's really, really good. Disabling a foe grants you boons based on your current state, so quickness for 3 seconds. This is primarily used on my longbow whenever I use point blank shot, which by the way, I don't do it in like meta groups and stuff unless if I know that target is not going to be knocked back. I'm not that much of an asshole. It gives me a few seconds of quickness, which is nice. If you want something that's more useful like all the time, cleansing and leash can be kind of good for just constant condi removal. But yeah, I do really, really enjoy enhancing, impact here. And yeah, Ferocious Symbiosis. I love this trait. I mean, you could really go the other two if you want. Fervent Force is a completely different playstyle from this one because when you run Fervent Force, you're going to actually be going to your you're going to be using a lot of your whenever your pet's untamed, those skills. So the non-unleashed skills, you're going to be using a lot of those, and it just gets way more complicated when you run Fervent Force. So that's why personally I prefer Ferocious Symbiosis. Because you'll see how I play this class and how I personally like playing it to do the most amount of damage possible. First Symbiosis to me is the most useful out of all of it. There's quality of life as well as just more damage in here. By quality of life, I mean it's just the bonus movement speed, which I guess is nice for you, right? But this really is amazing in meta events and like fast-paced like group events and stuff like that because you can be on your longbow for tagging, and then you could just get a shitload of enemies tagged up, especially if you're running Lead the Wind, and your pet is just going to be able to run and fucking sprint in on everybody. He's going to be like Usain Bolt, man. He's going to be going in and just fucking everyone's shit up. It's going to be really nice just for that, as well as actually the pet having more damage too. And of course, it's the same thing. Your pet grants you that bonus as well, which, pretty consistently, as long as you guys are in a decent, I mean, really only like a few seconds in the combat, you and your pet will have max stacks of this. So it's a fucking phenomenal skill. Technically it does do a little less DPS than if you were to play with Fervent Force optimally, but yeah. For our pets, I will say, if you were holding out hope for the End of Dragons pets, God, this sucks to say. Most of them really suck. They're really, really bad. The Phoenix is like one step away from being good. The thing is, its beast ability is fucking terrible because it doesn't just focus on one target. It does a sweeping attack, and it does it so slow, and it's just terrible. It just doesn't do enough damage for that sort of thing. It looks like it actually does a shitload of damage, but it really doesn't. Just try it out yourself. Maybe you'll like it. I fucking hate it personally. So just because I want to run a new pet, I'm running the White Tiger. I really, really like the White Tiger actually, because all of its skills are really fun. So you have a Shadow Step skill here, which is in its name. It's 900 range Shadow Step, and yeah, it's really, really fun. And you have Bite, and then you have Guardian's Roar, which is great for defensive play. I kind of wish this was more offensive though, but it is what it is. Going into Untamed, obviously all of them are the exact same for each pet, which really, really sucks. I hope they address that in the future because, Beta 4, it's the same as Beta 4, like how this class plays, it's the exact same, which is kind of disappointing. There are a ton of other pets you can run too. Red Moa is a phenomenal pet to have on swap because of its healing ability, which is get ready, Harmonic Cry. This is a fucking insane ability. This heals you as much, and your allies and stuff in your pet, as much as we heal as one does. It's fucking crazy. As well as what else you can grant that. Grant you Fury too. I don't know, man. Just the Red Moa sucks as a whole though. So I only really ever run that on swap if I am running it. I pretty much neglect all of the bears. They're all really, really bad. Cats wise, the Lynx and the Tiger are really good options. Probably the Lynx would be just the overall best DPS though for the cats. Dogs and Devours and all that, I don't run any of those. Drakes are pretty situational. I think Drakes are good for like general open world content because of the fact that they actually cleave on their auto attacks, which can be really useful for just getting aggro on a shitload of mobs, or only 3 mobs, but there are some skills here that do 5. So we have a 3 there, and then we have a 5 on tail swipe, and then of course we have some of these have 5 targets too. But yeah, I like Drakes. I think they're fun. But yeah, birds are extremely better now. This is a huge difference of birds in terms of DPS from compared to what it was before, because of the fact that, of course, we had randomly casted abilities before. not randomly cast it, it would cast it off cooldown, which means it would cast Quickening Screech off cooldown, which every 16 seconds it would cast that swiftness buff, which, you know, I guess is nice, right? But it's not good for damage. It's not good to have that constant damage. So you can completely ignore this skill now and just use these two off cooldown. And it does an absurd amount of damage. It's really, really good. This is a phenomenal pet. And also it's a bird. It's really, really cool. If you like, you know, nature like I do, God, that sounds so weird because I don't actually go outside too often, but I like nature. And I like going out. We have this little like trail by my house that we go down sometimes, and there's like a nature trail. And there we could hear like birds chirping and frogs and all that. Birds chirping? Is that a saying? Okay, anyway, it's really late at night. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't use any of the spiders or the, you know, pigs or any of that. I don't really use wyverns unless if I need a lot of CC. Um, Smoke Scale, don't really use this too much. Jacaranda is fucking phenomenal. This has got to be so. The biggest, I think, one of the biggest problems I've seen with Untamed throughout, you know, people's like problems with it is that it just is too much of a piano spec, right? So you're pressing buttons constantly. It's not like Mechanist where you're just pressing a few and that's it, right? Um, this is the best option you could have to fix that problem. The only button you need to press consistently is just Call Lightning. You could also throw in Jacaranda's Embrace in there too, but really all you need to do is just do Call Lightning, and that's it. That's all you need to press, and of course also use your 3 skills here. But that's all you need to press. It's actually fucking beautiful. The Jacaranda is a phenomenal pet. The thing is though, is I've been running the Jacaranda for a very, very long time now, so I don't want to fucking run that. Iboga is going to be your best in slot pet pick here. Its 2 abilities here with Necrotic Spores and Crippling Anguish are fucking phenomenal. It does more damage depending on how much conditions are on the target as well as cleaving. And it's just your best overall damaging pet. So if you are looking to really squeeze out the most amount of damage as you possibly can, the Iboga is going to be the best option. There's a reason why you see this pet listed constantly on the new meta battle builds and stuff like that, because it really is that good. This is going to be your best option for that. But anyway, other than that, Rockazel, pretty situational now. Although I will say it is better because, you know, you don't have to, it doesn't cast this automatically now, which, you know, this sends your pet way out, and then it has to run its fucking ass all the way back in, and it's really annoying. Don't really like that. But yeah, like I said, the only pet that's new that's actually good is the White Tiger. And yeah, I really, really like the White Tiger for general play. So for skills, Pearliest Gift is pretty much going to be the go-to heal. It heals you for a fucking shitload. It's really, really good. And Quickening Zephyr. And then we have Signet of the Wild. Then we have Sikkim. And then we have Strength of the Pack. There's a few variations you can run here. The build listed on Meta Battle is absolutely phenomenal for damage. Frost Trap, as well as having, what is it? Exploding Spores. Quick, extreme amount of burst damage. It's really, really crazy. The amount of burst damage you get on it is insane. It can melt a lot of fucking groups of targets almost instantly. It's really good. That combo there is a really good combo. But personally for me, for overall play, just for open world stuff, right? So that's the best in like when you're really trying to pump out a lot of damage and group content. But just for general open world stuff, I do prefer these two here, just because it really does focus around a lot around my pet, and I do prefer that. Strength of the Pack is really, really good if you just need that consistent like Fury and Might and stuff like that, and you know, get some stability and swiftness in there too. However, if you're ideally in a 10-man content situation, you're going to be getting butt fucked up boons, so really you can run whatever the hell you want. Meta Battle says that too. There's nothing here that's worthwhile for damage, so Force Fortification would actually be a really good one if you suck like me and you need that sort of damage reduction for 10 seconds as well as a shitload of defensive boons. But it's sort of like the defensive version of Strength of the Pack, which is pretty interesting. Anyway, so I've seen a lot of confusion about how do you actually go about playing Untamed. In terms of optimally, I don't know. But personally, what I do is most of the time I stay unleashed. So I'm using, all of my different skills as well as these 2 skills right here. It really depends on the pet, of course, that, for what skills to use. Then when I see this buff pop up, Unleashed Power, I switch over. I use all of my pet skills, which you could use them pretty much instantaneously. They're all instant cast. They don't have any wind-up animations or anything. And then I switch back, use my ambush skill, and then I stay unleashed the entire time until I see that buff come back up. That's what I do personally, because of the fact that the Untamed thing is, it's a thing. You do more damage while you are unleashed. there's no bonus for your pet at all for that. So it's really, really worthwhile to stay unleashed as much as you possibly can. And, you know, go in to do your pet skills, boom, and yeah, that's what I do. I unleash my pet just for that. However, there's a couple other situations where you can, you know, really make a lot out of your pet being unleashed most of the time. So if you are in desperate need of a lot of CC, switch on over to your pet. Also, I want to mention, you take 10% less damage while your pet is unleashed. This could be huge. This could be a great thing for situations if you're getting butt fucked, if you know you're going in and getting outnumbered. You know, you could stay out, you could CC the shit out of your enemies and have your pet melt the enemies for you. This is a very good option for just, you know, if you really need that defensiveness, this is a extremely good option that you could use. But for, you know, if you really need damage, just stick to the way I play, I would say. Um, yeah, because keep in mind, you get, you know, a completely different set of skills here besides your auto. And they all do different things, of course. So we have a knockdown, we got a daze, as well as a follow-up daze. I got huge amount of movement impairing conditions here. We have a cripple here. It's really, really good. You can keep that constant amount of movement impairing conditions on your foes. It's really, really crazy how much you could do with the hammer. And it's an insane amount of CC you could put out too. But anyway, let's go ahead and just kind of show this off in Cantha a little bit. So we have a veteran enemy right here. So I'll just kind of show you guys how I go. Oh shit, that's not what I meant to press. I'll show you guys how I go about, and this guy's evading all my attacks. So obviously some things are gonna, you know, happen sometimes. I can probably hear my keyboard right now. I'm going a little ape shit on my keyboard because this is a very button heavy sort of build. And yeah, as you can see, we do a lot of damage to things. You probably would squeeze out a bit more damage if you run Greatsword. But as you can see, you know, skills are being pressed, buttons are being pressed. And for the most part, for my hammer skills, I kind of just spam them. There's probably a certain order you could do in ways to squeeze out the most amount of DPS, but for me personally, I just kind of prefer spamming them. I'd also, whenever you enter combat, I would recommend, and shit, I didn't get the unleash skills out everyone. Whenever you enter combat, I would highly recommend starting off with your pet being unleashed, because you can actually just shadow step your pet right in there, and it'll grant the attention of the enemy right away to your pet. So you don't have to worry about that, like that flip-flopping bullshit that sometimes happens with the aggro on some enemies. Your pet will immediately grab that aggro, and will pretty much immediately be oh no, shit, I should not have pressed. Okay. Well, Sikkim, the thing is with Sikkim is it's a little hard to use because you have to line in a lot of the damage on your pet, you know, within that period of time. So you have 10 seconds to line in a bunch of abilities, which can get pretty complicated for, like, you know, getting the max amount of damage possible. But I don't know, I like Sikkim, just, you know, straight up gives more damage no matter what. So obviously there's the most optimal way to, you know, use Sikkim and all that. But yeah, so I think you guys generally get how to, you know, play it now. It's, you know, definitely a little more button heavy than like Mechanist, I would say. Mechanist is extremely easy and very, very fun to play. I really, really enjoy Mechanist personally, and I probably will go back on it right after this because I've been playing so much Untamed recently, and I just kind of want to get back on and play some Mechanist. But yeah, that's my Untamed build. I really, really enjoy it. I've been having an absolute blast with it. I haven't really seen other people with Untamed. I actually think I've seen more Soul Beasts than Untamed, which really, really says something about how, you know, in terms of damage-wise the spec is and how clunky it could feel to some people. Personally, to me, it feels amazing. This is exactly what I wanted, but to some people it could feel really, really clunky, and I totally understand that, and I can actually see it. I could see how clunky the spec is. To me, it feels amazing, but that's just, you know, it has... what the fuck? It fixes the problem with Ranger that I've had for a while, and I've been really enjoying it. So yeah, that's gonna cover it, and peace.